Hey everybody, we're here at the finals at Woodward West for USABMX Freestyle, the championship, correct? Basically, we're with Tony D. Tony D has a very rich history in BMX, done a lot of things, and that's actually the first thing I want to talk about, and talk about USABMX Freestyle with him. So first of all, Tony.
It's diet rich. It's like rich light. It's not quite like the full-filled rich.
Okay.
It's like, it's like the Diet Coke of rich.
Okay. The carbonated water.
That's it. That's a flavor of carbonated water.
No, just tell me, give me a rundown for someone who doesn't know your history in BMX, the things that you've done, who you've worked for.
I started off just as a racer in that sort of world, and then thankfully sort of fell under the wings of some really popular racers, and then they introduced me to the industry, right? And then my first real sort of deal was Haro Bikes, right? So they sponsored me. They brought me on as a 17, 18-year-old racer, and then I stayed friends with them. I mean, the one thing that I was kind of always better at, a little better at than racing was sort of marketing, talking, sponsorships. I was always kind of able to hold on to sponsorships because of my mouth, right? And so I was like, at one point, a secondary racer. So Haro Bikes, I moved to New Zealand for a bit because I have dual citizenship and worked in the industry and stuff back there. And then the guys at Haro called me back and said, hey, we have like a marketing sponsorship position. Do you want to do it? And I was like, oh my gosh, now's the time to really act on that, right?
Yeah.
So then I stayed at Haro for the better part of 16 years and did, managed, Ryan Nyquist, Dave Mirra, Josh Harrington, people like that. Rob Darden, who's here, I brought him on. And then I took a little sort of break and went to Fox Racing and did some, because I have a huge passion for moto. And so I did some moto stuff and BMX for Fox Racing. And then Haro was it wasn't changing hands, but the president left and went to Miraco Bikes. They started that Dave Mirra project. And then the guys at Haro were like, hey, we need you to run the BMX brand management portion of it and kind of get us back online, if you will, there. And that really sort of helped a little bit. So then I got to kind of do some cooler stuff with Nyquist and then bring on some other guys. And then that sort of just, to be honest, sort of ran out. But the people that own Haro also happen to own a tire company called Kenda. And then so they're like, hey, if you're gonna leave here, we'll hire you over here and do some stuff. And then in between, I did some stuff, Zach at Alien Nation, who's one of my better friends in life. We did a little bit of stuff together, and then I got really sort of educated on the tire project stuff, and then that led to other tire projects. People brought me on to start brands, so blah, 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 through, good and bad, better and worse, as this industry can kind of do for you. Shane Fernandez, the president of USABMX, had sort of followed me, or, whatever, thank God. And I mean, it is a blessing that he brought me on to run the freestyle portion of USABMX. And it's kind of, here's where we are. So we're at the end of our first real season of doing a freestyle amateur series. We got to throw in a couple of elite pro level events, and now we're here, and I'm like, holy crap, we kind of made it. We made it our first year.
Yeah.
So that's kind of quick up to the timeline.
Yeah, and being that I was involved with this before it even started too, I've seen all of it grow, and it's
all the focus groups.
Yeah.
You did the
live stream announcing the whole thing.
Yeah, you were before me.
That's kind of what I was. Yeah, so I wanted to talk so what kinds of things have you focused on with this, and where you're trying to take it, because
right.
It has really blown up in the past year.
Well, not to kiss your ass, but you and Shane really, giving credit where credit's due, kind of put everything into a box, right? This is what's important. Mm-hmm. This is where the industry needs help, right? And what were those, attracting the youth, how to make it more attractive, how to make it not so crazy competitive like BMX race, or the Olympics. Accessibility, right? Yeah. And the Olympics are awesome. You're like, wow, but then they find out what it takes to go there, and they're like, I'm not into it. It's ruining the sport. So what you and Shane sort of talked about was hey, we want to keep it fun. We want to do this, but also create this pathway if someone wants to do it. If they don't want to do it, we're still having fun and doing some cool stuff down here, right? So what I did was basically carried what you guys built and just tried to grow a little branch here and there to keep it building.
And it's obviously working. I mean, we're here and it's getting bigger and better.
This is the biggest event we've had thus far.
Yeah.
Every single event kind of gets a little bit bigger, right? But as you well know, in the industry, in the 181 years I've been in this industry, because I'm old, if anything if it grows quick and fast, it burns out.
Yeah.
So for me, either selfishly or maybe because I'm a worrywart or a stressor, I want it to grow slow and organically. And stuff
Absolutely.
like that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's kind of what I want. I don't want it just to go big and crazy.
Right.
You know, I want it to slowly grow and us get stronger and stronger.
Absolutely. And
you know?
a very important thing that Shane talked about in the very beginning was like, we don't want to do the elite class yet because we want to focus on growing the infrastructure behind it and the important things like what you're talking about so that it doesn't burn out. And that's really important.
That is the most important thing. That is the most important thing. So the one thing that we sort of kind of got thrown into in our good relationship with USA Cycling. So I did a quick stint and managed the Olympic team for a little while before coming here. But Jamie Staff, who's the director of all things Olympics at USA Cycling for BMX, he's like, hey, we need a couple of events, dude. Is there any way? And so we're like, man, we said we weren't going to do the elite side and all that. But as a favor to Jamie, because we're close to him and he's kind of part of our family, we went, you know what? It's time. We're going to do a favor for you.
Well, and I think it's totally cool the way it's happening because it's not part of it. It's just an event happening at it.
That's
like
it.
It's not that the elites are part of the series and competing. This is just like a bonus event that's happening at the same day.
And that's it. And we do it at the very end. You know what I mean? And so we run, what's most important to us, right? The amateurs, the females, all the age groups, the masters and all that sort of stuff. And then after that, it's like, okay, we're giving these guys a, sort of a thing to get their points, earn a little bit of cash, whatever they're doing. They're not an afterthought. That's the wrong thing. But they are at the end, and we're getting our event done first, which is what's near and dear to us.
Absolutely. And that's really cool to see. And, that's kind of why I want to do these interviews, so that people can see that the back end of all of this stuff is pure and it's real. And it's like, this is for the amateur people and trying to grow that aspect of BMX,
100%.
which is literally Shane, when we first talked, was the most important thing to him was we just want to give an avenue and grow that side of things.
That's it, adversity, inclusion,
Yes.
everything. It's all welcoming, right? And that's it. And the back end is funny. You said the back end is pure madness, kids. Just to let you know, the back end is madness and stress and pressure and stuff like that. But then when you finally get here and you see kids are happy, the parents are stoked. There's families here with 3 or 4 kids who are all competing. The dad's competing. You're like, holy moly, this is pretty awesome.
It's real.
And then the last minute sign, it's like, oh, we brought our daughter and she's bored, but she rides. And then the daughter goes out and gets second in a class. You're like, she should have been doing this the whole time, right? So you really sort of see all this sort of stuff. So going back to Jamie Staff, so he's coming out today because he wants to see that next group of who's coming up and who's going on our radar. So even those amateurs, even though it's not part of the elite program, Jamie's writing notes going, keep an eye on this kid, because now there's a series that the Olympic committees can now keep track of these kids, right, with our porn series and stuff like that. So it's really kind of starting to formulate, but again, we got to walk before we run, and we're just walking now, and we're walking really good, and we're really happy, but
so what is the future? What's the goal, the end goal? I mean, obviously where we're at right now was the end goal when it first started.
Right.
So what's the next step?
I think that comes into me personally, more women.
Yes.
More females in the class.
Yeah.
That is my first and foremost.
Not just Lily Voss.
Killing everyone, and, Charlie Finn or, Sage, and, what we really need are more women in to gain some experience and to have some fun, right? Because they're out there.
Yeah.
They're out there. They're just a little afraid, or they're like, I don't want to compete, whatever, which is fine. But if we welcome them, that's cool, right? So selfishly, that's what I sort of want as a dad of an 11-year-old girl. That's important to me, right? So that's that. But I think credibility, man. I want people to go, oh, that's the series.
I need
that's going to be around next year.
I need to go to that.
The year after and the year after, because a lot of these other things. I mean, I welcome all the series that are out there, the Hot Wheels and the, the monster things and all that. That's really cool. But I think with us and our direct connection with USA Cycling, and we're running a series and we're keeping points, and you go to this website, you see where you're at ranked, and I just think that sort of credibility, and not discounting everyone else. I just think for us, I want people to know, come to us and you can get started with us, and then from there, go do that series. That's awesome. Or go to that one-off contest, or go to the X Games if you get qualified, or shoot, go to the Olympics, you know. But I would love for it to start here because we care about it.
Absolutely.
And we want people to do well, you know. So I think that's it. That's the end goal. You know, I mean, of course, grow it and things like that, but you know, we really want more women, and we want people to know this is a good, healthy, and honest place to start.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Are those good final thoughts to leave on, or do you have anything else?
No, that's it. I mean, you know, there's so many people supporting us, and I'm not even going to go into all that because that's like the sponsorship, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, it really, every single person that signs up, we're so appreciative of it, right? Every single sponsor comes on, we're appreciative of it. And then, again, not blowing smoke up your ass, but it's like you coming out here and doing this, like, you know, like you called us a month ago and like, hey, we're coming out. I'm like, that's awesome. Holy, great. You know, and so it all helps, right, man? And that's what it is. So that's my final thoughts is thank you to everyone.
Awesome. There's an inside look from Tony D at USABMX Freestyle. Thank you. Thank you. Check out what they're doing. If you enjoyed this and you're new here, you haven't yet, subscribe. And we'll see you tomorrow for another one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.